Oh, hey, girlfriends. Welcome back to Shameless Ambition, the podcast. I'm Lynsey Justine.
I'm Justine Eno.
And we are wrapping up season 2 in this episode. I can't believe we've completed 2 whole seasons of podcasting together. This has been so fun.
Well, it's funny when we talk about our podcast with other people and we're like, we just one day we're like, hey, let's just press play on Lindsay's kitchen counter and see what happens. And then we were like, oh, we might not even put it out. Let's just see what it's like. And we didn't even re-listen to it. We're like, yes!
Exactly. Just push play, girlfriends. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, and even at the conference we were at last in Jasper, Lynn's got asked so many times, I just really need to sit with you about starting a podcast. And
we're like, it is the
just
easiest
open your computer and record.
Totally. And I mean, we've just been having such great conversations about what it means to be an ambitious woman, the challenges we face, the mistakes we've made, what we've done right, what we've done wrong,
what we don't know.
And it has been so cool sharing every single minute of this experience with you so far. It's just the highlight of my week every week. I love podcast day.
Me too. And even my whole family knows it's podcast day. I was getting ready this morning and Tyler came into the bathroom and he's like, oh, it's podcast day. It's podcast day, it's definitely just become a part of our lives.
I get messages from my girlfriends like, hey, happy podcast day. And I'm like, yay.
I was going to tell you this earlier before we jumped on, but I was just at my midwife appointment and my midwife's like, how's the podcast going?
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, she's listening.
We love podcasting. We are having so much fun putting this out there every week. And to wrap up season 2, we thought we'd just rapid fire questions at each other.
Like old school, remember when you used to call your high school crush, or not high school, probably junior high crush and be like, let's play 20 questions. That's what we're going to do.
Well, it was Justine's idea yesterday and she messaged it to me and she was like, let me know what you think about this. We don't have to do it. And instantly I was like, I love that. Let's totally do it.
Was that or the viral TikTok videos of best friends with the bucket of water and then one sits in front of the water and the other one has their hand on the back of the head and they ask a question. If they get it wrong, they dunk their best friend's head in the water. And I was like, that would be fun. But
that would be fun. We got to do that tortilla slap in the face challenge one of these days. I never did that one, but I always wanted to.
Let's do it when I'm not pregnant so we can drink on that podcast. It'll be way funner.
That's fair. Yeah. Speaking of drinking on the podcast, happy Friday, girlfriends.
Yeah. Cheers.
So
Stanley.
She's got a Stanley of water
and now
she's Prego.
Basic white girl with my Stanley cup. Yeah.
Yeah, and our ombre nails.
I got Starbucks today too, so here
basic.
we are. Yeah, riding that basic white girl train.
So we have a couple different methods of questioning here today. Justine's got a list on her clipboard there. She's always so organized. And I happen to have a deck of cards by a company called The and they create conversation. I ordered these cards years ago and totally forgot that I had them. So when this podcast came up, I was like, I gotta just bring out the And. Yeah. Exactly. And so I have a ton of cards here. Me and my girlfriends, I bought these for a girls' trip to just stimulate conversation. Yeah, exactly. And this edition is the Friends edition, so they're designed to ask your friends.
Not asking me some intimate questions.
Well, after, so many girls' trips of Cards Against Humanity and, just multiple rounds of asshole, we just decided that maybe we should get a little bit deeper. And so, these cards are super fun for that. But this was your idea, so you shoot first.
Oh, I just have lists of questions. I don't have spontaneous fun decks of cards, but
we can both draw from the deck of cards.
Okay, let me ask my favorite questions on here because there were some that I was like, I would actually really like to know this about Lynsey. If you could switch lives with anyone for one day, who would it be?
Oh, Mel Robbins. Yeah, I follow her on Instagram and I just think mentally she is probably the toughest chick there is. And I've just learned so much from her. And I would just love to know what it's like to exist in her shoes for a day. And she's a massive speaker and she's just brilliant. I want to sit at whatever tables she's sitting at, and I want to know the people that she knows. So
that's fair. That's a good answer.
And what about you? That's a great question.
Well, yeah, I had the privilege of writing these out and thinking of my answers.
That's fair.
Right? Because I was like, oh, what would I answer? So I will admit I had a few come to my head, but the one that stuck with me actually would be Tyler. Oh. I would love to switch places with him for a day.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I try really hard to understand him, and like what we go through as a couple, in the sense of, we've talked about this before, of the duality of feelings, right? Yeah. Of like how my loneliness can exist, but my understanding of what he's doing can exist at the same time. Or, you know, there's so many of those. And I think that if I had the ability to see what he actually had to go through in a day, I would have a lot more understanding and respect for how he shows up.
Well, and I think about him sometimes and what he does go through in a day, and the amount of just stuff and energy that gets thrown at him is a lot, and he does handle it all quite well. And I just can only imagine how fast his brain has to move throughout the day to stay on top of things.
Yeah, I talk to him sometimes and he's like, oh, it's past lunch. He doesn't even like realize, like, because his days are just so packed. Honestly, I made a joke with his mom this morning of like, the only time we really get to talk to him is when he poops at work, and then he'll call one of us and we'll be like, what are you doing? But it's his free time essentially in his day. But yeah.
Ooh, these questions are deep, girlfriend.
Okay, I'm excited.
Yeah, okay.
Hit me.
In 5 words, describe how you think others perceive you.
5 words? Like, do they have to be consecutive words, like a sentence, or just 5 separate words?
However you want to answer that.
Oh, no. In 5 words, how people perceive me depends on the day. I think that people perceive me as someone who's light. Like, I bring a lot of light energy to a room. Like, I can brighten up a room in the sense of my energy. I'm pretty open and honest. And I'm really good at keeping secrets. I'm a safe space for a lot of people, but we've talked about this before. I never used to be a safe space for people, and it's been something that I really wanted to be for people. So I worked on that skill for me to be able to be a safe space for people, and I don't take that for granted now. So when someone comes to me for that safe space, I'm like, I feel really grateful. So,
totally.
Yeah. That's
I love that.
I don't know if that was 5 words. That was more than 5 words.
What did you say? Light, open, honest, safe space.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Okay, are we doing it like now you answer too?
It's whatever. Okay. It's however the conversation's going.
You answer.
Well, I mean, I think how other people perceive me would be ambitious, energetic, fun. I'm a lot of fun.
She is.
I think open I would identify with as well, and hopefully loving. I hope people feel loved when they're in my space and seen. So
I like easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Oh, that's you in a nutshell. Yeah.
I also think it's you too, though. Lynn's goes with the flow really well.
I do. She
can, especially in group settings, like you're very adaptable, which I can appreciate.
That comes from years and years of girls' trips where getting 5 or 6 women to make a decision was a nightmare. And so I either made the decision or I went with whatever decision had been made. Yeah. And so I just feel like it's easy to go with the flow, and you just take so much more out of the experience.
So much easier to go with the flow, just to lean into it, especially on those girls' trips.
Oh, you gotta.
Because there's so many different personalities.
Totally.
Right? Like, you just... never know.
You never know.
Okay, I'm just not even gonna look. Lynn's looked. I'm just gonna flip one over.
Yeah.
Am I asking this? What?
You're asking me.
Oh yeah, I am. Okay. Yeah. What's my talent or trait that you appreciate the most?
Your talent or trait that I appreciate the most?
Just fishing for compliments today.
You are wildly organized, and I really do love and appreciate that about you. And like I don't have to pick up after you, I don't have to remember your stuff. Like you're always on the ball, and I really appreciate the fact that I can rely on you, and when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And it just, even like industry night, I love it. Justine always creates this itinerary for industry night, and you know, even if she doesn't make it to that event, I have this beautiful itinerary to follow.
Do you remember your birthday?
Oh, this is a funny story. We have to tell this story. So on my 37th birthday last August, all I wanted to do was go on a cruiser bike pub crawl around Grand Prairie. This is something I grew up doing with my friends and Mike, and on a hot summer day in Grand Prairie, it's a blast.
And it was hot that day.
It was hot. It was a beautiful, perfect day. And so we had a crew of, I think, like 10 of us. We all met
all
up.
from GP, like their whole life, except
all
me.
from Grand Prairie, except Justine. And so we roll up to the Crown and Anchor. We're getting ready to strike out. And all of a sudden, Justine pulls out these printed maps of Grand Prairie with all of the stops that we're going to. She printed 10 copies, one for everybody. And we laughed so hard because, I mean, the crew that she was with, we could cruise through these streets with our eyes closed and we'd be fine. But it was absolutely adorable. And just
Mike's face. He's like, did you really print 10 Google Maps with directions? And I'm like, and walking distances.
Exactly. Like, it was just so cute and so thoughtful, and that's what I mean. She's so wildly organized, and I thought I was a highly organized person, but I just appreciate the fact that if I forget something, you've 9.9 times out of 10 got it covered. So
yeah, organization has always been a thing for me. I think I actually do, if I'm being completely honest, teeter a bit into the OCD category. And
I've seen little, hints of that.
Yeah, and I can be like super like open about that. I watch my kids inherit it, and like Aspen has to line toys up, or they have to go back in the same place, which I'm not arguing with. That's great, but I find it helps me just personally find more calmness in my day if I can be like, at least that shit's not chaotic.
Well, and it's like when you just need to clear your head or you're stressed out, it's like you do things. You clean, or you reorganize a room, or
I was having a bad day the other day, and Lynn's is like, do you want me to come over and hang, or like, what do you want? I'm like, I'm just gonna clean. I'm gonna clean today.
Go nuts, girlfriend.
So we cleaned toilets. Then I felt better. But yeah.
Beautiful.
All right. What is your talent or trait that I appreciate the most about you? So let's reframe this. I can't. There's too many things. No, Lynn's has this incredible, so I'm going to answer this in two parts, your talent and your trait. So I think that I admire so much about her is this woman can walk into a room full of people she doesn't know, or full of people she does know, and feel so comfortable to walk up to any group of those people and have a conversation by herself.
Aww.
Or introduce herself. If she's like, well, cool, I'm just going to go walk up and stand next to them and talk to them. You have this, like, it's great. I think it's absolutely amazing. It takes a huge level of confidence in yourself to do that. And to definitely, like, not have imposter syndrome, right? Like, you belong there. And, like, I really validate that and
ultimately,
value that about you.
It comes from a perspective of people are just people. And I really feel like when you approach somebody with open energy and light, the right kind of people will welcome you in, and if they don't welcome you in, they're not the right kind of people, and that's okay. It's I mean, I don't think I'd be afraid to talk to anybody just because I want to know about their life. I love people's stories.
Yeah. So that I would say is a talent of yours. And for the trait, as one of your best friends, I can really appreciate that you always know when to show up for me. Even if I don't need to tell, like, even if I don't tell you, like, she'll drop flowers on my doorstep. Like, this woman knows how to love me in my love language, and I don't think I've ever told her. So,
it's intuitive, babe.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a trait that I admire so much, in our friendship.
Aww. So, well, you're so easy to love that, like, she's so lovable.
Me and my squishiness right now. Yeah.
Baby belly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just
your turn.
The next one. Yeah, what do we got here? Ooh, what do you think is my biggest challenge right now?
I'm not allowed to say it yet. No. Your biggest challenge right now. I think that you have so many dreams, and they're all valid. Like, they're all achievable. None of them are out of grasp from you. I think that your biggest challenge is to figure out which one to dive into the most at the right time.
That's super fair.
If that makes sense.
It really does make sense.
Because you have so many avenues, all similar lanes, but similar like avenues of things that you're pursuing without dishing too much. And I think that each one requires a lot of undivided attention. And I think that sometimes you get pulled in too many directions and then not, you know what I'm trying to say?
For sure.
Yeah. But it's not a bad thing that you have just so many valid dreams. It's not a bad thing by any means. I just think it is definitely a challenge of like, where do I put my energy today? Or where do I focus today?
I think you hit the nail on the head, because trying to tame my creative mind sometimes is just wild. And this is why this is why Ty and I get along so well, because our brains just operate at this like creative frequency of just like, what's the next cool, exciting thing that we want to do? And I just have so many cool, exciting ideas and things that I want to do, and that's why consistency this year is so important to me, because I've learned from experience that that's really how I can tame some of these ideas and make them a reality. And consistency and patience. I really work hard to make the next right decision, and even if it ends up being the wrong decision, at least I've made a decision. And yeah, so that definitely is a challenge that I think I will always face, to be honest, and it's just part of my personality at this point. And
I think you're doing really good with like blocking your days.
For sure.
I think I've noticed just in like our friendship how that's made a difference in your creative mind of how like this day is for this day is for this day is for this, and you let your brain block out everything else and focus on that for the day.
That's right.
And I feel like that's definitely helped quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Keeping things in check.
So do you want to ask me now?
What do you think is my biggest challenge right now?
The fact that you're bringing a life into the world in 10 weeks. So,
10 weeks, you guys.
Oh, so we're getting so close, girlfriend.
The nursery's done.
And it looks so beautiful.
Yeah,
I can't wait for Justine to share it.
This week. Yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah, it's very neutral.
But probably the most Instagrammable nursery I've ever seen in my life.
Aww,
it's that gorgeous.
Yeah, I like it. It's yeah, I'll post a picture and we'll put it on the Shameless Instagram as well. But yeah, yikes.
Yeah. Baby number 3.
Yeah, Tyler's mom came down for a spontaneous overnight visit last night, and she asked me this morning, she's like, "Are you still worried about having 3?" And I'm like, "Okay, here's how it is." And you only know this if you've been here, so if you haven't, bear with me a second. But when you have your second kid, I think most moms go through this worry of like, I love my first so much, how do I love this second kid as much? Which I know it doesn't make sense. But once that baby comes, it's just like, oh, I do. Like it innately happens. So in my mind right now, I'm like, oh crap, how do I do bath time with 3 kids? Like, you know, these things, adding one more to my routine, my organized routine.
Very organized routine.
Is really throwing a wrench in my brain. But I'm just leaning into it will be figure-outable.
It is figure-outable.
So it's all good. We'll just figure it out.
My mom, as a mother of 3, always said that by the 3rd one, it's just easy. It's muscle memory. It's you just get stuff figured out. And I have no doubt that you're going to settle into a brand new routine that is just, you know, your forever routine now. It's you got your 3 beautiful kids and your happy family and a great nanny, and it's just going to be a blast.
I'm also grateful that this baby's coming in the middle of June.
Totally.
Beginning middle of June. Because Arya will almost be done school. So that eliminates a lot of like 6 a.m. wake ups and getting Arya ready for school and trying to like breastfeed while feeding Arya, and then Aspen getting up and having a poopy diaper and just like all these things. I'm like, well, at least Arya can wait. Like, I love you, honey.
Exactly.
Or make your own Eggo, you
know?
Well,
yeah, she can wait or help or like, it is going to be so cool as she gets older over these next few years, especially how helpful she's going to be able to be.
Side story, just real quick. It was the cutest thing. So, Arya was almost home off the bus the other day. Aspen was kind of rolling around in her crib, waking up, and I'm like, okay, I have a minute to just go outside and take a minute to myself. So before all the chaos begins. So I'm just hanging out, and I honestly didn't even hear Aspen cry. So I come in the house. I was outside for like maybe 5 minutes. Come in. Aria's in the living room. She went and got Aspen out of her room, and she's like changing her bum all by herself. And she's like talking to Aspen. She's like, "It's okay. I know you don't like your bum being changed, but it'll get better." And I was just like,
that's awesome.
Like, this will be one of the moments I flash back to when I die. Like, of just, you know, like, this was a moment of like, wow. And seeing the love Aria has for her siblings. I mean, I know Aspen will take some time to be able to see that as she gets older, but her care and comfort for Aspen already is awesome. So yeah.
And not that you having a baby is necessarily a challenge, because
it's a challenge.
Well, it's just something that like you're just built and designed to do. Like, you're gonna crush this. It's gonna be amazing, and life is gonna be changed forever. But I'm so excited to welcome this new little member to our gang and to just meet this person and have this person earthside with us.
Yeah. I think the challenge is going to be postpartum. I think that's where I'm at, of like, I'm just ready to climb that mental battle, but that's okay. We have lots of people.
Well, and I wasn't even going to mention it as a challenge. I know we've talked lots about it and you are concerned about it, but it's just like, girl, I have got you, and no matter what, we're going to get through it. Ty has got you. Everybody's got you. It's going to be a very different experience this time. And so I know the fear is there, but you're aware of it, which is step number one.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Acknowledge the fear.
That's right. We got this.
When was the last time you felt vulnerable with me?
Every day. I'm pretty sure that in every single time we hang out and spend time together, we have some sort of an intimate, vulnerable conversation about something. And literally, before we hit record on the podcast, we were having a pretty vulnerable conversation about just things that we want to do in the future. And that's my favorite part about our friendship, is my ability to just be safe and vulnerable with you. And I reserve that for very special people.
That's true. Yeah, we're always vulnerable with each other. I don't think that ever...
Well, exactly.
I farted on Lynsey the other weekend when we were sleeping in Jasper together at the conference. I was like, I'm really sorry, and it wasn't supposed to be loud, but it was. But she was like snoring away, so I don't think she heard it at all. But it was like, I was like, oops.
The amount of stories I could share about sharing beds with my girlfriends over the years that are just not podcast appropriate.
I blamed it on the baby.
I wasn't mad, guaranteed. So
no, you didn't even know.
I mean, I could return the question, but I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. That, you know, we're always vulnerable with each other.
Always.
So,
I always. It's just a safe space.
What's the hardest thing about our relationship?
Oh.
I think this is a conversation we've definitely never had.
No, we're getting vulnerable.
That's right.
Sorry, what's the hardest part?
What's the hardest thing about our relationship? I'll jump in.
Okay.
I think.
Let me think.
You know, the thing is that we have very open conversation anytime we're experiencing any sort of friction. Yeah. So it's not something that, like, there's no lingering anything between us ever. And I really appreciate the maturity in our conversations. I think the hardest thing for me is the jealousy of the fact that we have this beautiful friendship that we're trying to share with the world, in the hopes that you can find a beautiful friendship, or maybe we can inspire some women out there to create these beautiful friendships. But we've unfortunately experienced a little bit of backlash over the years of just how close and how fast we became best friends. And unless you spend time with us, it's hard to understand where this dynamic comes from. So I think the hardest...
to ask the universe, like, what we were in past lives that have made us like so... Like, were you my mom, or was I your mom, or like, were we sister? Like, we are like, we definitely have this deep, unexplainable bond,
and I mean, like, we're happy women, and life is good, and I think that sometimes the perception of us is maybe that we're putting on a show, or we're faking it, or we're embellishing on our life, and it's just, we really are being totally transparent and honest and vulnerable. And I think the hardest part is how sometimes that can get misconstrued or misperceived. And we've always said that however you receive us is however you receive us, but it's it can be hard sometimes to have to kind of defend that a little bit, if that makes sense.
I feel I get really defensive over our friendship.
I do too.
Because I used to be this girl in elementary school that was like, you can only have one best friend. That's the rule, right? You know, like, no, you're my best friend, no one else is. That's the rule. Obviously, you grow out of that. And Lynsey, like I said, we're like kindred spirits from another life or something. It's the second I walked into Maisie's birthday party for the first time, I felt like I didn't even need to get to know Lynsey. I felt like I already knew her. So we've been really good friends, I would say. Well, we've been friends for 3 years. I think we've really dove into our friendship the last 2 years. And the hardest part, I guess, to feed off of what Lynsey said, for me, sometimes I get scared to bring up something to Lyns because I don't want to upset her. Like, you know, like that's how much she means to me, that sometimes I'm like, oh, should I? But I always do. And it's always met with so much grace, or she's feeling the exact same way, or we have a laugh about it, or, you know, so the hardest parts of our relationship have actually, in my mind, been the most beautiful because we see each other, we hear each other. I'll just be honest, I've had friends who are jealous of our friendship. Yeah. I've talked to her about it. She's talked to me about it from her side. We're both on the same page of like, our friendship doesn't ever take away from anyone else's friendships that we have individually with other people. It's hard, I guess, when people get mad at our relationship.
Well, it's just like, I mean, there have been lots of times where we're like, oh, should we tone it down? Should we not say this? I mean, a woman at the conference last weekend in Jasper asked me when my partner was due. That's how in sync we are. It really is special and important to me. And I think that when people see where this relationship comes from, they understand why it's so special and important. But it can be easy to come up with, you know, thoughts or judgments or misconceptions if you're just watching us on social media. If maybe we're not able to connect as often as we would like. Justine and I live 2 minutes away from each other. Our daughters are best friends. We like literally run our lives together. So there's a level of connectedness there that just, it really is unexplainable. And I do feel bad when I'm not able to articulate it, but it's because it's such a personal thing between you and I.
Sometimes it can't be articulated.
It can't, exactly. It's just
like there isn't really a word.
But I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that nothing about our friendship takes away from the pre-established friendships that we already have. And I love hearing stories about the things you and your girlfriends have done. Every one of your girlfriends I've met so far, I've fallen in love with, and vice versa. I know this. Like, there's a reason we're in each other's lives, and Justine's circle is my circle, and my circle is her circle, and
they're on my fridge.
Our goal is to just build each other up and support each other and create stronger friendships and more friendships. And it's, you know, like Justine texts personally with some of my best girlfriends, and I love that. And it's so it's just that is hard for me sometimes, is feeling like I have to defend our friendship.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
What am I hiding?
Belly.
You're hiding a baby in your belly?
Actually, though, guys, like, really? We're getting that deep? What am I hiding?
What are you hiding?
I love smoking pot.
Oh,
there we go.
I'll
put it out there.
Hey? Yeah.
I can admit that. I won't let Lynsey rat me out on that.
I would never rat you out.
No, I know. No, but I'm not like putting it on you. I'll rat myself out. Yeah, I love me a good 420. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
take it or leave it, girlfriends.
There you go. I'll publicly acknowledge this for the first time ever in my life as well. Marijuana has been a best friend to me for a lot of years, and it's me and Mary Jane. We got a special relationship. So I think that's probably enough said on that topic. Maybe we'll do a whole podcast episode on that one day, but
on April 20th.
On 420, wouldn't that be amazing? Actually, Emma has a girlfriend who owns a chain of dispensaries that I would love to interview. Yeah, I would just love to dig into the nitty gritty of her industry and just talk about her business and her ambition, because man, that's cool. Good for her.
Yeah. No, for me, honestly, I'm not going to go super deep with it, but it helped me a lot through my postpartum with Aria and my therapist. It wasn't legal back then. My therapist at the time actually gave me my medicinal card, so I wasn't just buying random weed off the street,
weed,
and not knowing what I was going to get. And honestly, it's helped me ever since then. So yeah, that's what I hide. I'm not really hiding it. If someone ever asked me, I would fully tell them, but I just don't think I've ever shared that on the podcast. So
no, we've definitely never shared that on the podcast.
Surprise!
Surprise! There's our big secret.
Okay, your turn. Next.
Okay, I'm just gonna draw a random
well,
one.
Maybe not. I get super vulnerable when you do that.
Wow. What is preventing me from becoming the person I want to be?
What the fuck are these questions?
So deep.
Oh, what is preventing you? Trademark. Shh. No. No. What's preventing you? Okay, I'll say. I think this is way too hard to say on a public podcast, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I know what's probably swirling in your head and just like...
No, I think that it's just because I know, and I know you'll agree with me. I just am gonna try and say it in the most vague way possible.
Right.
So I think that what's holding you back is how badly you were burnt before.
Oh, that's super fair.
That's as vague as I can say it, and
I'm gonna write a book one of these days. I was just chatting with Angela about it yesterday morning, actually, and I've had so many wonderful experiences with women, which is why I'm so passionate about what I do and how I show up for women. But man, have I been burnt in the past.
Yeah.
And there are lots of lingering hurt feelings that I really do my best not to give energy or attention to, because I'm growing and I'm learning, and you can forgive and not forget, and I really just want to be a happy person in life. But there are definitely some experiences that I've had where I think I'm still working through some of how to move forward in that. And it's a process, and time heals all, and I just wake up every day and try and just move forward with things. And so that's a fair answer to that question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, now do you want to know?
Sure, go for it.
I think the only thing holding you back right now is fear and worry about postpartum. I think that once you get on the other side, you're gonna just be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because this is your last baby, your family will be complete, and you can just move forward with all of the things that you want to do. And ultimately right now, it's like you have to slow down. You have to just settle in.
I literally got told by my midwife today.
Exactly.
Time
to eat and sleep,
down.
Justine.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
She's like, just eat and sleep on the couch.
Yeah. I think you already are the person that you want to be, but just knowing how it feels when you step onto the other side of having kids and you know for sure that you're done.
Yeah.
There's a whole other feeling, for me anyways, that came with that. And it's like, okay.
Well, you don't have to go through another identity crisis.
That's right.
Essentially. Like, you
don't have to put your body through it again. You don't have to, as your babies grow and you kind of settle into the new routine of life, there's a sense of security there, and just stresses and worries that you'll never have to go through again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I can fully agree with that one. All right. Guys,
we can jump to some of your questions.
I highly recommend these cards for getting deep in your friendship. I'm a little sweaty. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. How do you feel about the relationship I'm in?
Oh, honestly, I just think about you and Ty and my heart feels like it could explode. I mean, I understand that all relationships go through their stuff, but knowing your guys' story as intimately as I do and knowing you both as intimately as I do, I'm so happy for you. I think you have a wonderful relationship, and as you guys grow together, you work hard to figure things out and put your family first. And I love being a part of your family and your relationship. I love knowing you guys. So
I mean, it's hard, right? And we've talked about this. You and I have actually recently just talked about this, of like how sometimes we feel like we need to shut up because we love our husbands so much.
Right.
But it's hard. Like, it doesn't come without a lot of hard work. And I know that for Lynn's and Mike too. Like, obviously, again, we've said already on this podcast, like, we see what each other go through day in, day out. If I'm having a fight with Ty, Lynn's is my first person I text usually, of like, fuck him.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
What did he do? Yeah, but fuck him. Yeah.
Love you, Ty.
Or she's driving over to my house to just take a break for a minute or whatever it is. So it isn't perfect. Like, I don't think that any relationship that would identify themselves as perfect is perfect.
That's right.
It takes a lot of work, especially when you start adding entrepreneurship, owning your own businesses, having children. That's a lot of stuff to throw wrenches into a perfect plan. But I think that Lynn's and I have talked about this personally before, is there's so much power in choosing your person every day.
That's right.
To choose. Like, it is a choice.
Every day. Yeah.
To love this person no matter what the day looks like, no matter what they are acting like today. I'm still going to choose this person knowing that they're going to choose me. Mm-hmm. And that's where Tyler and I find our strength.
Absolutely. And I just feel so grateful for the support that we have from our husbands for all of the things that we want to do. I mean, we're sitting in this beautiful podcast studio that Ty built for us, and you know, it just...
Ty hired someone.
Great work in here. Excellent.
If you're ever actually in the Grand Prairie area, I will give them a shout out, because I don't think we have Excalibur.
Oh, okay.
Home design.
Okay.
Anyway, he builds custom homes. It's Tyler's cousin's soon-to-be husband, who did all of our renovations up here, but they're amazing. So, yeah,
it's just like these guys have supported us from day one, and so, I mean, I think that's how I feel about our relationships, in the sense of, like, we're making the choice to work hard at them every day, and we're supporting our husbands just as much as they support us, and it's not always easy or pretty or perfect, but it's our pretty perfect life. So,
I told Lynsey if I ever had to, like, throuple with anyone, it would be her and Mike. Like,
totally.
I'm like, that's the only, because I do, but I've looked, and I actually just told this story at, with Lisa and Brittany in the car on our drive. And it was Shameless Ambition, the conference, and it was the mixer on the Friday night, and you didn't know Mike was coming. None of us knew Mike was coming. And he walks into this room in a suit, which I've never seen him in, so looking all dapper, his hair is all done, and they locked eyes for the first time that night, and I was like... And, like, I think, like, we all started crying, kind of. Like, we were, like, and they just, like, walked to each other, hugged each other, and had, like, the best kiss. And it was just, I was like, that was a moment. But, yeah, I have always been not envious, but, I've always really looked up to Lynsey and Mike's relationship since I've met them. They have so much fun together. They laugh together. They, make each other lighter. In a group of friends, they're good. Like, I don't even know, like, Mike can hang with all of us girls, and I know Lynn's can hang with all the guys.
Totally.
You know, like, it's a come one, come all kind of vibe with them, and they are home. Like, Lynn's and Mike are home, and if you are one of their friends, you know that that's what they are. So,
I mean, we're so thankful and lucky to have grown up together. We've been together since I was we first dated when I was 18 years old. Just babies, exactly. And so it's like, he really is my best friend. And we can have whole conversations and movie quotes. We can David Lee Roth, like, high kick, like nobody's business. there's so many inside jokes over the years that like I could never be with anybody else because how would they even understand me?
I'd make a joke and they wouldn't even understand.
Right? We're very grateful. So, okay, if we never met, in what ways would I be different?
If we never met.
Yeah, if we never met.
What ways would you be different? I think that you would still have done everything you have done. I don't know if the podcast would exist.
I don't think so.
But I think that I have helped you feel your feelings.
Big time.
And I could be wrong and you can correct me and that's totally fine. But I think that, and I know some of your other girlfriends provide this space for you as well. But I think I came into your life at a time where we've both said this, we didn't know we needed each other, but we did. And I've always made sure that Lynsey knows she can be, and excuse my language, but a fucked up, raw, vulnerable mess with me. And it's okay. It like, I'm here. I'm not going to love you any less. I'm going to just love you through it and feel it with you. And then we'll come out the other side. So, I mean, I guess I hope that that's what I've done for you. And I hope that you feel okay to be vulnerable and know that it's actually a strength, not a weakness.
I think you nailed that, babe. And I think that for years I had kind of been building up this pretty tough exterior, just proving to the world that like I can take it.
Well,
I got
and the
this.
career
and
you were into.
The industry
like,
that I was in, I had to have a pretty thick skin, and it just, I was really working towards this version of me that I thought everybody expected me to be. And I feel like you're the one that kind of like cracked that mold and then just started peeling away the pieces of that tough exterior. And I'm not somebody who cries a lot. I don't get really upset. I'm not very irrational or emotional. I've kind of got my emotions on lock 95% of the time. And I feel like since Lorraine moved away, there was a huge void in my life. And I've talked about Lorraine on the podcast quite a few times now. And I get to see her next week. Yay!
I'm so excited for them.
She was that like love and safe space for me of like I could just show up at her house out of nowhere and just completely be a puddle for 20 minutes and then just carry on and move forward. And I didn't have that for quite a few years. I mean, I do have lots of girlfriends that are available to me as a safe space, but there is just something about how I feel in your presence that allows me to feel feelings harder. And I feel like because I feel them harder in the moment, I'm better able to acknowledge them, learn from them, make my next right decision. And I think had I never met you, I might still have a pretty tough emotional exterior in that regard. And I really don't think that I would be on this creative path that I'm on now. We've just done so many cool things together that they just keep stacking up, and it's like each month gets cooler and cooler and more exciting. Like it's awesome. And so thank you for changing my life.
Likewise, babe.
Yeah.
All right. Describe one experience you wish we'll have in the future together.
To speak on stage in a sold out auditorium.
Ooh, like Rogers Place.
Like 5,000 people minimum.
That'd be so cool.
It would be so unbelievably cool because I love being on stage with Justine. I love being able to share our light and our energy and our vibes and our mindset with any woman who just needs that extra boost. And the proof has been in the pudding in the response that we've received from any time we speak together or the podcast in general, just that just by sharing our raw, authentic, vulnerable selves, women are feeling more and more safe to be themselves. And so if we could put that energy into like maybe even a stadium, who knows?
Yeah, that's why I have Rogers Place. Let's
right?
go.
So
Woo!
that would be my dream. What about you?
So likewise, but I'm also going to take you to Delburn.
Oh, I can't wait to go to Delburn.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped for a weekend in
Giddy up.
Delburn. Yeah.
Yeah, so I talk about obviously Delburn quite a bit. That's where I grew up, and you have to see it. real quick. It goes by real quick. But no, I do. One day I will bring you back home. Bring you back home.
Well, I've known since we spent the weekend in High Prairie at my aunt and uncle's house when we were on the NAF tour last summer. I brought Justine to the middle of nowhere on a farm, and we had the best time just leaning into my roots and my family and my history, and it was such a cool experience that I really cannot wait to have that experience on her home turf. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I can't guarantee I have like, like a cool place for us to stay and hang out there, but Delburn has a bar.
Amazing.
That's all we really need. Yeah. You can walk down Main Street in like 5 minutes, the whole thing. Like, I don't know. There's really not much to see, but no, I am. One day I'll take her back and show her where I grew up, but that will be in the future.
I can't wait.
So yeah, but the stadium and speaking is definitely the top experience that I would love to have with you in the future.
Oh, we're gonna make that happen. Yeah, and that's just it. Patience and consistency will pay off.
Watch out, Mel Robbins.
That's right. We coming for you, girlfriend. We want to sit at your table.
Yeah, we do. Okay.
What do you think is my greatest accomplishment that I fail to recognize?
Oh, damn. That you fail to recognize.
Yeah.
I don't want to make you cry. I think that having a critically ill child.
Aww.
And still being as ambitious and driven and focused as you are. And I don't say that as like a bad thing about Maisie at all. Like, at all. But yeah, you really don't know how hard it is until...
Well, you know how hard it is.
I actually just experienced the hardest night ever with Maisie. Right? The last weekend. And yeah, so... I don't think that, I know you hold that close to your heart for very many reasons, and they're all valid, and you can talk about that whenever you're ready, but I don't think that you have really acknowledged in yourself the accomplishment of like being a new mom of two, finding out you have a critically ill daughter, how to manage that, how to deal with that. Like, she was so little, like how to change your life but still have a life, and like all these things. You don't ever really talk about how hard that was and how strong you had to be to come out the other side of that. So again, it's not my story or conversation to share, but I do think that would be
I mean, I guess it's not something that I ever really looked at as like an accomplishment, but especially now that we're in a space where Maisie is pretty self-sufficient as far as like she can do her own needles now. She understands what her sugars mean. Those first 7 years of her being type 1 diabetic, I had to be on all the time. And the only reason I was able to go back to work was thanks to our angel of a day home. Michelle, my sister and I went to her when we were kids, and my babies went there. My sister's babies go there. That's the only reason I was able to have any kind of a career or follow my ambitions, was thanks to Michelle. But it is hard. It really is hard, but it's just our life, and I refuse to ever sit in any kind of a pity party, because it's harder for Maisie. You know, she's the one who's diabetic. Like, I will give her everything I've got for the rest of my life, because she's the one living with it. You know, I would take away her diabetes in a heartbeat 100%. If I could. I would trade for her, no problem. But that's just not possible at this current time. So.
I also think one other thing other than that's just something you don't ever talk about. It's like how you overcame and accomplished all of that and so much through that. But I'm going to toot your horn career-wise quickly. Her website.
Oh, thank you.
Girlfriends, she built it all herself. So go take a look, because I remember sitting with her and being like, well, like, you can. Like, I mean, I built my yoga website. It's not super in detail, but I'm like, you can. You just have to work at it and sit and play and whatever. And literally, she called me 3 days later. She's like, I built my website! She was like so excited. So she doesn't give herself credit for that at all. So thanks, definitely. Babe. Hey, you need a virtual designer?
I guess so. Hidden talent of mine. So yeah. Do you want to know what I think your greatest accomplishment is?
Oh, okay.
Your family, babe.
Aw, thanks.
You know, Ty talks quite openly about his childhood and his upbringing, and just the way you guys grew up, and I think that you have created this marriage and this family, maybe against all odds.
We've broken a lot of cycles.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Like, they're just knowing what I know about your family history and your childhoods, and you guys didn't have to land where you've landed. It very easily could have gone a few different avenues for you guys, right? But it's just, your family is so stable and strong and loving and successful, and just like, as a unit, it really is incredible to see what you guys have built. So
thank you. We call it true love,
right,
in our house, and like now Maisie and Soph get in on our true love hugs too when they come over, and it's great. Aspen started doing this thing really recently, and it actually, what time? Okay, I didn't bring a quote today.
What?
I didn't even think about it because we were asking each other 20 questions. I'll just repeat my favorite one off memory.
That's fair.
Sorry, pregnancy brain, bounce ping pong. But so she starts doing this thing. So every night I'll hold her, give her a hug and a kiss, and she kind of like leans over to Tyler to give him a hug and kiss. And now, so recently, pretend you're Tyler, so she'll come in between and she'll push our heads together so we kiss.
Aww.
And then she giggles, and then she stops, and then she pushes our heads together so we kiss again.
She's cute. Oh.
And I'm just like, I'm so glad we stuck it out.
Well, I
Like,
just, even in the few years
parts,
that I've known you guys, like, you've just been through a lot. The move to Grand Prairie was a huge change away from your family. That's massive. Babies, baby number 3 on the way here, business, life stuff, like, it's, I really, really respect what you've done and how you guys have intentionally and deliberately decided what your future was going to look like.
And not to quit. And I think, like, if there's anything to take away from this question or any advice that I can give here on a relationship, like we've already said, it's hard, right? We've talked about that. But it takes just as much energy to quit. And sometimes it's okay. Like, I mean, there are unhealthy relationships where you should quit and both people should walk away for the better of each of themselves or their children. But in the marriages, like, I want to sit with, like, I want to do a case study of like 50 pairs of old couples that have been married for 20 plus years and be like, what did you go through? Because I guarantee almost every single one of them has went through the shit, but they just chose not to quit on each other.
That's right.
And that's just really powerful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like we could sit here and draw cards
that
all
was the
day
quickest.
long.
That was the quickest this podcast
Didn't that feel like that just
by.
flew by? Like, we're coming up on an hour here, and we try to keep our podcast to an hour or under. But on that note, we want to share that we are going to take a few weeks off. We have spring break coming up. I'm going away on a snowboarding trip with my family. Justine's gonna do a bit of nesting and just work on baby stuff, but we are going to come back at you with a new season that's going to blow the roof off of our first couple seasons here.
So we're taking time off here, but we're still working behind the scenes.
We are planning and strategizing, and it's going to be epic, so stay tuned.
Yes. Ready for
Do you remember your
Let's
quote?
hope I don't butcher it, and if we'll blame it on the baby if I do. So I think I've said it on the podcast before, but just in passing, I've heard this quote. Like, I'm gonna shout out this girl who's like probably doesn't even remember me. Her name was Sydney Bourne.
Okay.
And I went to elementary and junior high with her, and she said to me one day this quote, and I was like, I love that quote. It's Dr. Seuss. And I believe it goes, be who you are and say how you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind.
I love that quote. That's such an excellent quote. Yeah. We should all remember that quote.
So that's the one I pulled out of my arsenal for you guys.
You're welcome, listeners.
yeah, does some Dr. Seuss for you.
Right.
I'm getting prepared. No, I think it is, though, like, Dr. Seuss actually does have some wicked quotes that will actually make you think. Like,
it's like Winnie the Pooh too, right? Like, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think.
I should have used the Winnie the Pooh one. I forgot about
that one or a different one?
No, there's like a Winnie. I don't know it all. Like, I'm gonna mess up the words, but it's something along the lines of, how lucky am I to have people I love so much that it hurts so bad to say goodbye.
Aww.
Like it's something along those lines, yeah. And I'm like, right? So yeah, lean into those nursery rides, guys. Just kidding. But
well, we are sad to say goodbye for a couple weeks, but excited about what we're going to be coming back out of the gates with.
Yeah, I'm really excited. There's going to be lots of new stuff and lots of fun conversations. So
yeah,
and you guys will get to meet the baby in like 2 months.
That's right. We're gonna Lion King the baby up onto
straight
the podcast.
Someone's gonna be playing the Circle of Life song.
Absolutely, it's gonna be magic.
We're also gonna do it at industry night. I'm just gonna walk into the brew house and like, here's the baby, and then give me a shot. I'm out of here.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
On that note, have the best weekend, girlfriends. Thank you for following along so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate every single one of you, and just keep listening if you like it, and share it with your friends. And if you want us to talk about something, I know we've said this before, please just shoot us a message, myself, Lynsey, or the Shameless page, wherever, on the YouTube comment, like anywhere, we see them all. And we'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing we won't talk about. So,
clearly,
except for we don't like talking about drugs or politics. I'll talk about sex all day. But maybe like not drugs or politics. But anything else, I'm open about that. So
we're open books, girlfriends.
Okay.
Have the best day.
And a happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Yeah.
And spring break.
See ya.